Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Johnson and this is Britt's Everyday Life. Today we're going to be talking about part 2 of my 3-part series in my daughter's autism journey. So part 1 was mainly about what we had concerns with in the very beginning and what made us start to reach out and ask questions and get help. So that was our part 1 video. Part 2 is going to be about what leading up to that diagnosis, getting the actual diagnosis, how long it took and that kind of thing, what kind of appointment, like what the appointment was like, and then as well as like my husband and I's reaction to actually getting the verbal written diagnosis. So if you're interested in seeing part 2 of our video series, go ahead and keep watching and stay tuned.
I hear you breathe, but I can't see if you're right here next to me. Something's wrong, wasn't it fun?
Okay, so actually getting the diagnosis, what led up to it? So like I mentioned in my first video, we actually got early intervention services when we were stationed in England at RAF Lakenheath, which was really, really awesome. But then we had to PCS, which means move in military lingo. We had to PCS to Tucson, Arizona, near Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and that means we've never been overseas we were overseas for our entire relationship and career in the Air Force, and we had never been back stateside. So actually getting established stateside was really, really difficult, but more on that later. Anyways, so when we first got to Tucson, we had to figure out how to start up services for Madison again, because she was already getting early intervention. I don't remember what it's called. I know it's EDIS, E-D-I-S overseas, but I don't remember what that actually stands for, so there's that. But she was getting those services, so we were trying to figure out how to basically get those started back up when we got here. Let me tell you, that took a freaking long time, because I don't know if any of my viewers are military or they have any experience with medical military like programs and stuff like that, insurance, everything like that. It was very difficult. First, you have to go get your PCM. So let me tell you how frustrated I was trying to get a dang referral just for occupational therapy, speech, and seeing a developmental pediatrician. I had to go to her PCM, which is her primary care manager, someone she didn't really know, and that was irritating because when we got there, I'm not going to name his name or anything like that, but when we got there, this individual, he was ignoring all of my concerns, which really pissed me off. He was like, just remember to turn all the handles in on your stove, and just remember she needs to be wearing a helmet while riding a bike. And I'm sitting there asking him like, okay, well, I have concerns about her speech and her development and stuff like that, and he was just ignoring everything I was saying, which was so irritating, and I left that appointment really pissed off. But I did get the referral, just he basically ignored everything I said the entire time. So getting the referral in, so you basically receive this referral and then you have to find a location to be seen, which was really difficult. Not difficult finding the location. Basically, it was like I was the middleman, and like the two places wouldn't communicate. So Davis-Monthan referral office wouldn't communicate with our speech and occupational therapy office. So I was like the middleman relaying all this information. So finally, after, God, it took me so long to get speech and OT. So we went in there in probably April-ish, I guess you would say, maybe April. I don't know, it was a very long, April we got the referrals in April. Madison's first appointment was in June. So April of 2017, our first appointment was in June of 2017 for speech. Her first appointment for occupational therapy was in October of 2017, and get this, her first appointment for her developmental pediatrician was a year out. So it was June of 2018 when we actually got to, no, excuse me. So let me retrack. It was actually 2018 when we got to DM. So in June of 2019 is when we made the, when we actually were able to get the appointment after a year waiting for the developmental pediatrician. So she got her diagnosis officially in June, I think it was like June 13th of 2019, because we have a follow-up actually coming up here in a month about that diagnosis and kind of seeing where she is, and that's when we're going to try to get her into ABA therapies and stuff like that and figure that out. But anyways, so it took a whole freaking year to get in with a developmental pediatrician, which was crazy to me. Like, are you kidding me? All these kids, like, not even just about Maddie, but all of these kids who are autistic or who have some sort of developmental delay, or they need help. You're telling me it's a year out. And don't get me wrong, I called every other week to see if there's cancellations so we can get in sooner. And still, I kept that date because they're like, oh, we have a cancellation for June. It was June 13th. We have a cancellation for June 12th. And I was like, no, just keep my date. It's fine. Whatever. So yeah, that took forever to get her situated in her therapies and stuff like that. So, we go into this, appointment. I was pregnant with Cambria. So I was super emotional, I guess you could say. I was very emotional. So we go into this appointment and we're talking to the doctor, and she has Maddie go sit and play at this table in a corner with all these toys, and she's trying to interact with Madison, and of course Maddie's like, no, I got these cool Legos and these toys, I'm not going to talk to you. And she doesn't know her, so she didn't make eye contact. She was like, doing her stimming and stuff like that. And if you don't know what stimming is, it's basically when you see an autistic kid flapping their arms, or they're yelling, or they're doing this, or, it's just, they're trying to get a sensory input so their brain can function, basically. So anyway, she was doing that, and we were talking to her, and she was asking all these, like, open-ended questions, and kind of making me feel like a bad parent, like, oh, I did something wrong. But honestly, she wasn't intending to do that. It just how my mind wrapped around it. I was just kind of already, I don't know if sad is the word, but maybe sad's the word, that she was actually getting a real diagnosis of autism and being on the autism spectrum. I don't know her number. Like, they have degrees of autism. I think it was 2 of how far on she is on the spectrum, and I don't actually remember what the number is, because they gave me like a stack of paperwork this big, and they say, read through this, that's going to explain everything to you. That's irritating. But anyways, and for the longest time, I knew, like, in my heart that Madison was probably autistic. I knew it. Like, it was either a sensory disorder or she's autistic, and I knew in my heart that she had one of those things. But there's always that little thought in the back of your mind thinking, like, maybe she's not. Maybe there's something else going on, and, autism's not, it's not autism, because when you're not involved with anything autistic, I guess you could say, you're not involved with people or programs, or you don't know anything about it, the word autism is like bad. You know what I mean? It's not actually bad, but the connotation people put towards it is like disabled or like unable to do things, and I absolutely hate that. I feel like, because, like, I don't like labeling her as autistic, because it's hard to talk about this. I don't like labeling her like that because I feel like the word autism is literally just putting a cap on her potential. She has so much potential as an individual that I feel like when someone says, oh, she's autistic, that's just like, oh, well, you know, it's okay. She doesn't even have to try or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that. I have standards for her. She has rules. You know, she follows directions. She gets mad at them. She gets mad when I tell her no, of course, and when she can't have something. But that just makes me so mad, is what the connotation of autism brings. So I really like want to become an advocate for it, to really help people understand, like, to help people understand that because somebody's autistic, or somebody has autism, or is on the spectrum, or whatever word or verbiage you want to use, that does not mean anything. It's basically means that their brain is wired a certain way to make them process things. That's literally all it is. And maybe they don't like talking to people. Hell, some non-autistic people don't like talking to people. So it's just it's a very wishy-washy subject that I really want to help people understand and fully understand, which is part of why I created this YouTube channel. I want to get Maddie's word out there, and like I said before, I'm her voice and I'm her advocate, so I need to do the best I can to help people understand her, because she is who she is, and she's awesome, and she's sassy, and she's quirky, and she doesn't like wearing clothes, and she doesn't like using forks, and it's just like this whole thing about Maddie. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked, guys. Okay, so leaving there, let's go back for a second. Leaving the office, and they, you know, she said, I'm going to, you know, she is going to be diagnosed as she is going to be diagnosed as autistic. And I asked her, what is it going to do? Like, how are things going to change, basically? You know, does she, like, what's going to happen? Like, oh, she's autistic, what's going to happen now? And honestly, nothing big really happened. Nothing. It was like super lackluster. She got her diagnosis and nothing changed. She's Maddie. Like, just because she has that label now, she doesn't mean she's going to change as an individual. You know, that's not like she's going to adhere to what, like, one certain way. Because we already had an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. So she already had that IEP going into preschool, and she already had that IEP for speech and OT. So the only thing that was added on her file was that now she's autistic. So that actually helps the teachers and the therapists understand how she thinks, to be able to help her in school. So it's not like, oh, she's being defiant. Oh, she's just trying to process this a different way. You know what I mean? So that's really the only things that changed, I guess you can say, when we got that diagnosis, because that was my biggest worry. Like, for the longest time, I hated the word autism. I hated the word autistic. I didn't want to say that my daughter was autistic. Like I said before, it takes a long time to become okay with it, I guess you can say. I would always just say, oh, because of Maddie's diagnosis. I would never say because she's autistic. You know, I wouldn't ever say that. And now I'm like, yeah, because she's autistic, so get over it. You know, she doesn't like loud noises. She walks around Target with her earmuffs on. Get over it. If it bothers you, then go somewhere else. She's not doing anything wrong. So it took me a while to actually become okay with it, and sometimes I still have my hard days where she's just being super extra, and like, she needs a lot of extra help that day, and it is exhausting, like, tending to her every need and making sure her sensory diet's okay. And I'll do another video separate of kind of how we set up her sensory diet and what works for her, and I'm going to explain the different senses and stuff like that they seek. So maybe it'll help you guys and help your kids out too, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? So after receiving that diagnosis, it was hard, but on the same hand, nothing changed, you know what I mean? So if you're somebody whose child is getting diagnosed or has gotten diagnosed with autism or being on the autism spectrum, it's okay. Like, I understand what you're going through. I understand it's like for me personally, what happened was like my sense of reality and my hopes and my dreams for her as an individual, like, it just was shattered. So it's all about her now. It's all about Madison. It's not about what I want. It's about what she's going to achieve and what I'm going to help her to achieve. So with that being said, I want to wrap this video up so I don't like talk your head off for ever and ever. We're still trucking along. This is part 2 in our 3-part series on her autism journey. Next week's video, we are going to talk about Madison, where she's at today and what she's been doing, what we have planned for her, things where we want to talk about to help support you if your child is newly diagnosed or is already diagnosed with autism. And then next week, I'm going to also introduce you guys to her sassy little self. Right now, she's taking a nap because she does not like sleep, and she was up at 3:45 for no reason, just sort of like ready to go, which is super annoying to me. But she's taking a nap right now. But next week, stay tuned and you will get to meet Madison in person, and probably Cambria, because wherever Maddie is, Cambria follows. And I'll show you guys kind of our little routine for her. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions about autism or her diagnosis or like any other questions at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you like kind of where I'm going with this channel, go ahead and click subscribe so you can see all the other videos that we post about Maddie and my mom life and fitness life and all the things I want to talk about. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next week.